Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the fourth and final season of the show Ozark. Fun fact, Julia Gardner, who plays Ruth, has won the Emmy for this role not once, but twice. This season came out in 2022 and stars Jason Bateman, Laura Linney, and Julia Gardner, and was created by Bill Dubuque and Mark Williams. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Season 4 sees the birds trying to figure out a way to not only safely sever their connection with the Navarro cartel, but also set up a legit organization so they can still live a lavish lifestyle. They come to find out that there are many obstacles in their way and must really figure out what is going to be the best way to get their family out and remain safe. Ozark is a slow burning drama. It has a similar vibe to Breaking Bad, Narcos, or Queen of the South. This was the last season of Ozark, and I was really interested to see how they were going to end it. While there are a handful of things I was a little confused about, overall I enjoyed the finale. Let's talk about this mess of a family that is the Birds. Fresh off of Wendy getting her brother killed, she comes back this season being super pushy and aggressively trying to keep her family together while constantly undermining Marty and making decisions on her own that she thinks will benefit everyone, when in reality she's mostly just thinking about herself and pushes everyone away. Marty is just so passive that he just lets his anger build up to an eventual breaking point, but he still really doesn't become more assertive after that. Charlotte is really just there trying to support her family and stay as neutral as she can with all the family drama that's going on. Then there's Jonah, who thinks he's an adult, and while he has every right to be mad at his mom for having his uncle killed, I don't think going to work for the enemy is the best decision, especially when your family is dealing with a cartel. He is very lucky that he made it out of this season alive. This family is just like a whole mess, but I think that that's part of what makes this show so interesting. Oh, and I almost forgot that Wendy's dad makes an appearance just to make things even more complicated. I think he should have been introduced maybe a season earlier to help us see why Wendy and Ben acted the way that they did. Darlene has been a thorn in the cartel and the Bird side for 3 seasons, and with this season, I was rooting for her downfall. Lisa Emery did such a great job of making me hate Darlene, but not be annoyed with her. Darlene finally getting killed after killing so many people was so great to see, but I was sad that Wyatt was also there and that he happened to get killed as well, considering Wyatt had been pretty innocent for the entirety of the show and just was just an innocent bystander who just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. They introduced some new characters this season, and we see the return of some who, frankly, we haven't really thought about since they left the show. Some I felt like were great to help the story move along, and then others just made the story feel a little bit more crowded. We are introduced to Javi, who is Omar Navarro's hot-headed nephew. From the moment he came on, I was rooting for his downfall because he was very hot-headed and wanted to take over this cartel no matter what. I feel like the show used him as a way to introduce his mom, Camilla, but I did not like him, and the scenes with him just made me so stressed at what he was going to do next because he was just so unhinged. Camilla becoming such a threat towards the end of the season is completely Wendy's fault. Honestly, having her take over and trying to manipulate her just guaranteed that they would not, get out of this cartel life and be wrapped up even more with this cartel for years to come. She didn't seem like she would have been that big of an importance, but I did enjoy her slowly embracing taking over the cartel from her brother. Claire Shaw runs this company, and the Birds partner with her to provide raw materials, and she really helps them set up their foundation so that they can have some legit source of income. I often thought that she was so tough throughout this season, but when push came to shove, she folded like a chair. I was so upset that she told Camilla about Ruth in the end, and I really just wanted her to go because she was just messing things up left and right. I just loved Maya from the prior season, and this season was no different. She was good at her job, and I loved how she was the only person who was actually trying to stop what was going on and ensure that justice would be served in any way. I'm glad she made it out alive and that she did her job instead of letting her bosses try to do some shady things behind her back. There was a private investigator, and honestly, he was more annoying than anything. He was popping up at the worst time, and I get that it's good to show that someone disappearing wouldn't go unnoticed, but honestly, I wish they would have just kept him out and just say that like the cartel took care of the loose ends. He being there was just extra. Bringing back Rachel in the last couple of episodes was so useless to me. I didn't even really remember her storyline, and she came back to help Ruth, but she wasn't really adding anything to the story, and she was just there. And it didn't really seem like, her coming back really had much purpose. So I think definitely, that was something I think they were trying to like make sure they could include her since she was part of the beginning. But honestly, it would have been fine without her. I mean, like, no offense, but I was not missing her. So she could have just been left out. Ruth was the one person I was rooting for to make it out alive, and I was so sad that she died. I realized that Ruth killed a handful of people throughout the show, but in this season she killed Javi, and while she had a good reason to, I had a feeling that that was coming to bite her in the ass. I thought Marty would save her, but he ended up being in a really tough spot because his kids' lives were in danger, and he had to protect his family, which left Ruth wide open to be killed. Julia Garner embodied this role and did such an amazing job, not only in just this season, but through the entirety of this show. There was a car wreck that they showed in the trailer for this season that was so dramatic. And then you watch the show and you think it might have something to do with a cartel or maybe the FBI, but it's just a normal car crash, which was kind of a letdown for that particular scene because the way that the trailer like built it up, it was going to be something like super dramatic. I feel like the ending of this show didn't have a definitive finale to show two things. It shows that you can't just leave a corrupt and dangerous life to go off and decide later that you want to be legit and not look back, and also that people in these powerful positions are involved in some sketchy stuff and get away with it all the time. I took it as the show was showing how corrupt the world can be. My favorite part of the season was Ruth killing Javi. Wyatt and Three were basically little brothers to Ruth, and she was so heartbroken when he killed Wyatt, and I just knew she was not going to let that go. Javi was important to show how cartel leadership can change quickly and how it can be, your own family trying to plan your downfall, but I still hated him. I'm glad that Ruth got her payback on such an evil person who killed Wyatt, who was an innocent person in this whole frame of things. Ozark is a show filled with some great performances and a story that steadily builds up to a crazy conclusion. It's always interesting to see how a show will wrap up its story, and Ozark did a great, not perfect, but great job wrapping up its story. If you haven't seen the final season of Ozark, or Ozark in general, then I suggest that you watch it. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have not subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.